You know, I don't often wear polo shirts. This is not paid advertising, by the way. This is a true story. This is the story about the time that I joined a German beer drinking club. Ein Deutscher Hefeverein. As told by an American who's lived in Germany since 2001, but you can call me Armstrong. Now, it was not so long ago I made a video about 5 things that surprised me about Germany. And it was in that video that I mentioned how surprised I was at not just the amount of clubs here in Germany, but how active a lot of people were about being involved in at least one club, and just how common being involved in some kind of a club was. That really did surprise me. This story takes place, I think this had to be within my first 3 to 5 years of living in Germany. I'm in the south, in a small village. At this point, I spoke German, but I would say my German was not great. But it was good enough to make friends, and I had made friends with this cute little couple. They had an adorable, sweet family. It was very common for me to end up at their place on a Friday or a Saturday. We usually would just sit around in their kitchen, drink a few drinks together, smoke a few, and we would drink too much and we would smoke too much. And so on one of these Friday nights, sitting there drinking with my buddies, and their neighbor comes in to visit and just say hello. She had just finished with soccer training. Oh, sorry, Germans. Foosball training. In the place where she did her training, it was at a place that a lot of different sports were practiced and different clubs in that direction met. And it also had what they call here a Gaststätte, like a very casual kind of a restaurant, the kind of place you could go in and get something to eat, but you could also go in there just to drink a few beers with your buddy. I like those kind of places. Anyway, so this neighbor comes into the kitchen where we're already sitting there over a bunch of beer, and she starts talking about how the guys at this Gaststätte that are there every time she's there are funny, and she's just sharing some silly stories. And she mentions, now again, I want to repeat, my German wasn't 100%. I often, at this point, 3 years or so in Germany, it was not unusual for me to have to like stop and check, do I really understand what that person just said to me? But I mean, my German was good enough that I could do that. So she mentions that these dudes got this idea that they want to start eine Hefeverein. Side note, from the moment I touched down into the south of Germany, I was really in love with the beer. Before I came to Germany, I had never had what they call eine Hefeweizen. If you're not familiar with this beer, it's a wheat-based beer, so its consistency is a little thicker, a little heartier. Generally, it's got a bit of more alcohol content than a regular Pilsner, so it's usually around 5%, but some will be like 5.5 and even higher. There's a couple different varieties of Hefeweizen that you can get in Germany, but we're just going to talk about the basic today. What I'm getting at is I fell in love with it like I was drinking too much. The people there in that little German village, they found it hilarious how much this little American girl could drink, how much Hefe I could drink, and just how much I loved it. So it was a circle. It was also the first time in my life that I ever really gained weight aside from when I was pregnant. The Germans will tell you, I think it was something like, they'll tell you that like one Hefeweizen is equal to a schnitzel or a loaf of bread. Seriously, first time in my life that I noticed I had a little bit of a fatty face and I had a little bit of a muffin top going on, it was when I was in my Hefe drinking phase. But now I live in a northern region, and today when I decided to make this video, I thought, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it right. And I went to the store, and I couldn't even buy this brand of the Hefe. So I bought a different brand. And then I thought, well, since I'm not even using the right beer, then I don't have to use a trademarked glass. This is my Elvis Presley taking care of business Hafa glass. I know you're impressed. So I thought if I was going to make this video, I should do it right, and I should have one of these. I don't really drink much ever since I had a stupid tumor in my head. Just no point when you constantly feel a mixture of hungover or 3 beers in. Now the Hafa is awesome because the thickness, it's a very hearty beer. I really enjoy the taste of it, but also the consistency. And what I'm doing right here is there's wheat in there. It's all like settled, and you kind of gotta like manipulate it around with a little bit of love. And very gently on the glass, you're slowly pouring it in. But you're gonna stop just before you get to the top, because opposite is in America. In America, if somebody serves you a beer and it's got what we would say a big head on it, a big bunch of foam on top, Americans would be like, "Oh, fail," and they don't want that. On that note, when I've been in Holland, I noticed they do this neat thing where they literally cut the head off. But not in the south of Germany, my friend. You want, especially when you are drinking a Hefeweizen, you want to ever so romantically slowly work your way into a nice head, which I hope I'm not failing right here live on camera. I think I should have lubed up my glass before I entered. So where was I? Right. So she comes in and she says these dudes in this Gestede, they want to start a Hefeverein, like an official one with card holders, somehow affiliated with this beer company. And I had to think, wait, she said Hefe. That's the beer I love. That word I understood. She said Verein. That means club. That word I understood. I need to clarify. Did this German just walk in the room and say that there is an actual thing that's like a legitimate club with like a membership card and everything that's basically just drinking Haven beer? My mind was blown. So yet she confirmed, in fact, that these guys were looking to set up their own beer drinking club, specifically an Erdinger Hefeverein. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, like I think a lot of Americans might be lost about this, just imagine that in this situation, we're basically going to meet once a month to worship a beer. Our God is a beer. So when I heard this and got the clarification and really understood what this chick was talking about, I immediately looked at her and was like, can I join? And she got the giggles and my friends got the giggles, but to my surprise, my one friend, she said she would like to join too. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, we're doing this. We're going there. And so we went there. We were the only chicks, but they knew our soccer playing neighbor. So she did like the introduction. The guys were friendly enough, and they were happy. The more people they had, the better it looked when they filed paperwork with the Erdinger Beer Company. Apparently there was a whole process, and I did in fact have an identification card, a little plastic ID card with my name on it, and I have looked up and down for the last 2 days, and I have not found it yet. It's here somewhere. If I find it, I'll post it on my Instagram later. And so, yeah, that part, long story short, we basically went, introduced ourselves. I think they were tickled that some chicks came in and wanted to join their beer drinking club. And then on, I think it was the first Friday of every month, me and my friend would go and drink with a bunch of Bavarian men. When I think back to that time and to going to those meetings. We just sat around and drank. Sometimes we had catalogs and we talked about buying merchandise. Like I had several different shirts and we could get cool glasses. I have a nice collection of beer glasses, both from being in this beer drinking club and them possibly falling into my bag at various fests and beer gardens. I mean, as gifts from friends. But what I thought was really cool looking, what I thought was really epic, mega, if you will, was every Friday, the tradition of our beer drinking club was everybody chipped in, and one of these bad boys got filled up and set in the middle of the table. So one of these bad boys here takes, I believe if my memory serves me correctly, about 6 of these bottles. So you need about 6 of these to fill this up. But again, American in Germany, we see like some of these silly films, and what do we know about your beer fest? When my eyes saw this gigantic thing, I was like, that is the coolest beer drinking apparatus I've ever seen in my entire life. So, of course, when I got my hands on my Erdinger catalog, I ordered one. So this one is my baby. It's got some kind of certificate here. That it's made by hand and mouth blown. I prefer my glasses to be mouth blown. It's heavy, but I like to hold it like a baby. Haven't drank out of it forever. Because like I said, Stupid Tumor. I also haven't had one of these forever, but it is as delicious and thick as I remember. Delicious. Alright, so, first Friday of the month, every month, me and my chick friend, we go and drink with a bunch of big old Bavarian men. As soon as we get there, we lay down money. Everybody chips in a little bit to fill up one of these bad boys. That goes in the middle of the table. Then each individual member of our club, I think we were anywhere between 10 and 13 people at one point. I could be wrong. Everybody orders their own drink individually. Quite a few of us, obviously, being loyal Erdinger Hefe Club members, would order Hefe and drink way too much of it. But mostly we would just sit there and just, as we would say in English, shoot the shit. We would just talk. I think it was like once or twice we tried to raise a little bit of money. We were trying to raise money so that I think we wanted to go do an actual visit to the brewery, which there was some deal if you were members like we were, but still we had to pay something. I can't remember what the whole deal was. The trip never happened. But still, as an American, number one, when I came here, I was very impressed with this beer. So, if you are not from Germany and you're coming to Germany and you're a fan of beer or you're beer curious, I highly recommend getting your hands on Hefeweizen. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter on the brand name. Remember, there's different types. There's darker ones, there's clearer ones, there's thicker ones. But it's, for me as an American, this is just a totally different type of beer than I was even aware of existing before I came to Germany. And so when I got it, I fell in love with it. And I definitely drank way too much of it for many years when I lived in the South. And that's where I give that warning again. If you're coming here and you're falling in love with it, you will gain weight. It is hearty and heavy. And I was so in love with it that when I heard those magic words that there was a beer drinking club, specifically an Erdinger Hefeverein, I was like, I didn't think I was a club joiner, but maybe this little foreigner in Germany just found her club. Maybe I just never joined clubs before because I never found my club. So yeah, that was a kind of a cool and a fun memory. I don't have a ton of cool and fun memories from my time living in that little village in the South. So it's nice to have that one. And it's also nice to have my baby. I'll never let her go. Oh, I cannot forget. So, I'm American. I'm not European. And there's little things sometimes where that shows. Not just when I talk. Not just because of my voice. So like, for example, there's one thing in various Europe countries. This is not Germany specific. In fact, I find the Dutch to be worse with this. The Italians too. This thing where there's some people in Europe where they think it's okay to greet a complete stranger by putting their lips, inclusive with saliva, on your cheeks. I hate that. And my European friends that I feel confident enough to just be me and tell them, they laugh at it. I'm a little touchy about like germs and personal space. I don't think I'm like a germaphobe or anything like that, but buy me dinner before you start kissing me. Or at least ask my permission. Don't just assume that that's a normal greeting. I don't just kiss everybody. But I remember like after like the third time of going to one of these meetings, finally feeling like confident enough to open up to my female friend that was going with me to them. We were the only chicks there, you know. And I just, like I said to her, I said, dude, some of these Bavarian dudes, they got these big old mustaches, the kind that are like, not like neatly trimmed, all sloppy, hanging into their lips, and sometimes retaining things like tobacco and food. And I was just real fast not really into sharing the top here. And I thought it was cute that my friend came up with the best idea. She started wearing lipstick. She figured when she wore the lipstick, it left her mark. And at the same time, she had this theory that no one else would want to put their lips there because they saw the lipstick. We tested her theory, and it worked. It was true. I might have worn lipstick once or twice too, but I started kind of shying away from the sharing the glass. Oh God, and now in Corona times, this would never go over. But then again, I say that, but I don't know. Franken does things differently. I don't want to get into a whole nother topic, but they definitely have like a different level of hygiene rules than the rest of the country. And if you want to question me on that and don't believe me on that, look up eine Schlachtschüssel. No, I might be saying that wrong. Schlachtschüssel. Schlachtschüssel. It's a meal they eat there, and it involves every part of the pig and being cut up, but I'm just saying it's not sanitary the way they do it traditionally. But that's not why we came here today. So, I came here because I wanted to tell you the story about me as a silly American in Germany joining an Erdinger Hefeverein, a German beer drinking club. Official card holder. I had the shirts. I wore them every first Friday of the month when we met, like my proud uniform when we walked in there, looking like some kind of, I don't know, suburban bowling team. I felt badass. Like I said, it's a cute little fun memory, and this is always a really nice decoration to have around my home, no matter what region of Germany I live in. I want to thank you for clicking on this video. I hope to come at you one more time before I head off to my little rehabilitation trip for issues I have since having a stupid tumor in my head. Make sure you're subscribed and click the bell if you want to follow my rehabilitation vlogs as I'm out there getting rehabilitation to help deal with my vertigo and headaches, tinnitus, and my ugly face, my bad attitude, my issues with commitment, my fear of love. I've said too much. Until the next video, take care of yourself.